we are going to take off with what is quite honestly loads of news from Starbucks this week. Holy cow.
We've got like
PR train.
Triple ventis happening right now in the world.
Hold my latte.
Hold my latte. That's right.
Yeah, so with a black guy.
Yes, exactly. So tons of news out of the Starbucks this week. In addition to headlines about their CEO stepping down, a move to reusable cups, potentially becoming the EV gas station of the future.
It's a dessert topping. No.
The news that caught our eye most this week was that Starbucks announced plans to expand its community prototype to 1,000 locations by 2030. So according to Chain Storage, Starbucks is, quote, ramping up the global expansion of its community store concept as part of a new commitment to make its stores more inclusive and accessible. It currently, end quote. It currently has 150 of these stores in operation.
Who knew?
I
didn't know that. Yeah.
The store concept is different in that it provides dedicated programming and experiences that support economic opportunity in the local community and create pathways to opportunities for employees, according to Starbucks. The first prototype launched in 2015, and the U.S. stores are focused on things like, again, according to Chain Storage, local hiring, having dedicated space for communities to come together for events, partnering with local artists, and working with diverse contractors and subcontractors on supporting service members, veterans, and military families, end quote.
That was a mouthful, huh?
There's a lot
There's
happening.
There's a lot they're announcing in that statement.
Yeah, Dave Ritter, I want to go to you first. 1,000 stores. This is a big move, is it not?
Yeah. So listen, at first, I respect Starbucks. I don't think this is that big a move.
Yeah.
I've watched retailers for the last 15 years try to pull off community concepts.
Yep.
Whether that's painting the community name on the wall,
Right.
adding event space, having gyms, store with local vendors. I mean, do we really think this is differentiated or that much different? I mean, I love the notion of this. I just don't think it's that big a deal or that different than a lot of things that are already in the market. I mean, even financial services like Capital One has launched Capital One Cafe.
Right, exactly.
I mean, for me, this is it's nice, but it's not particularly exciting.
Did it surprise you that they said they have 150 of these already in operation?
It did surprise me, but I guess that also kind of speaks to how shockingly different it is.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's my take too. I mean, I think this is a crazy story. Like when you read that in line with all the other stories they announced this week, I mean, it seems like they're trying to get ahead of the PR. Like everything they announced this week was like sustainable, community giving, and it makes me wonder, I'm going to be jaded and cynical here because that's what I do, but it makes me wonder if they're just trying to get ahead of this like PR nightmare they have around unions starting up. But
I completely agree. It's like the wording that was used in this, like people may have realized like, oh, this is a community focused Starbucks, but did they know of the 15 quotes that I just had to read in that intro?
Right.
Like, were those specific words associated with these community concepts prior to the union discussions? But Michael, what are your thoughts? I saw you nodding along here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, look, I think it's interesting and I think it's necessary for them, but at the end of the day, it just feels like window dressing.
Mhm.
And I think the big point in that article was the last sentence that talked about the unionization movement that they're faced with. And that really seems like a huge thing. I mean, look, they've got 9,000 locations. So what happens if a lot of those locations start unionizing? That creates a very dynamic, complicated challenge for them to face. So I think that's really the story and or really the important piece of the story. Because, the interesting thing about Starbucks, and I've always thought this, is that there's two main reasons why they're successful. One is their product. The product is fantastic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's the coffee or the tea or the actual food, it's great and it's consistent. And then the second thing is the customer service that you receive at Starbucks is fantastic.
It is.
And it's very consistent. I'll never forget the very first time I ever went to mainland China. We took, and this is kind of an interesting story, but we took a 6-hour boat ride out of Hong Kong into mainland China. And I got off the boat and it was definitely stranger in a strange land. But as we were driving another 2 hours to a factory in the middle of nowhere, there was a Starbucks. And I'm telling you, it was exactly like the Starbucks that is near my house here on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And it was wild because even the way their customer service was, it was the same.
Same.
So I've always thought that those two things are really what make Starbucks very successful.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And yeah, so I mean, the big takeaway here from all of us, I mean, it sounds like we resolutely are thinking the same thing. This feels like kind of a smokescreen type announcement, which I think you have to think so too. When they have 150 of these already, if this prototype was blowing the doors off anything, we'd all know about it and be pretty gung ho about it at this point. So it makes you wonder what's all going on here.